say we have this collection of non-empty sets, A1, A2, A3, and so on, where each of the non-empty sets is bounded above. How do we find the supremum of the union of all of these sets? Does the supremum even exist? Certainly, each of these sets has a supremum by the completeness axiom, since each set is assumed to be non-empty and bounded above. But what about the union of the sets? Well, for the union, it depends. Let's say this collection is finite, so it's A1 up through AN. In that case, the supremum of the union of those n sets is actually just the maximum of the supremums of all of the individual sets, which perhaps isn't that surprising. Take the supremum of all of these sets, whichever supremum is biggest will be the supremum of the union. Let's prove this result using induction. Now we might think to start with n equals 1 for the basis step of our induction proof. In that case, the union of the collection is just the single set A1, and so the supremum of that union is just the supremum of A1, which kind of trivially is the maximum of the set of all of the supremums. There's just a single supremum, it's the supremum of A1. As usual, that n equals 1 case is trivial, but as we'll see in the induction step, we actually refer back to the n equals 2 case, and that's really what the proof relies on. So let's make sure that that is correct as well. For n equals 2, the supremum of the union of the sets looks like that, and we're claiming that it's equal to the maximum of the set containing the supremums of the individual sets, A1 and A2. Let's go ahead and prove this. Without loss of generality, let's say that the supremum of A1 is greater than or equal to the supremum of A2. So then the maximum of this set would be the supremum of A1. Of course, our claim is that the supremum of A1 is the supremum of the union of A1 with A2. To prove that, we need to prove that the supremum of A1 is the least upper bound of the union. First, we establish that it is an upper bound. To do that, take an element A from the union A1 with A2. If A is in A2, then A is certainly less than or equal to the supremum of A2, but we've assumed the supremum of A2 is less than or equal to the supremum of A1. So clearly the supremum of A1 is greater than or equal to that element from A2. If it happens to be from A1, well then of course it's less than the supremum of A1 by definition of supremum. So we see if we take an element from the union of A1 with A2, certainly the supremum of A1 is greater than or equal to it. So the supremum of A1 is an upper bound of the union of the two sets. Now we need to show it is the least upper bound. To show the supremum of A1 is the least upper bound of the union of A1 with A2, let's take another real number, m, that is less than the supremum of A1. Then we have that m is equal to the supremum of A1 minus epsilon for some positive epsilon, since we're assuming m is at least a little bit smaller than the supremum of A1. But then, by the epsilon definition of supremum, that would mean that A1 must have some element that's bigger than m. Again, that's because m is less than the supremum of A1. So by definition, m can't be an upper bound, so A1 must have some element, say b, that's greater than m. But of course, that would mean that m also isn't an upper bound of A1 union A2, because if b is in A1, then b is also in that union. And so the supremum of A1 is certainly the least upper bound of the union. And the supremum of A1, remember, is the maximum of the individual supremums. So we took a number that's smaller than the supremum of A1 and showed it can't possibly be an upper bound of the union of A1 with A2. So indeed, we've established the result for n equals 2. Now here are the details of the induction step. Let's suppose that our result is true for all positive integers less than some integer k. So for any n that's less than k, the supremum of the union of n non-empty above bounded sets is going to be the maximum of the supremums of those n individual sets. Then consider the supremum of the union of k non-empty above bounded sets. With this big union, we could take one of the sets out. Let's say we take the kth set out, just write it separately. So then we could rewrite it as the union of k minus 1 sets unioned with that kth set that we took out. But then we can view this as the supremum of two sets being unioned together. We have this single set, which happens to be the union of many sets. And then we have this second set, AK, but it can indeed just be viewed as two sets. Since this is just two sets being unioned together, we already know the supremum of the union of two sets is the maximum of their individual supremums. So we have here the supremum of that union of k minus 1 sets and the supremum of that other set, AK. But then with this supremum, the supremum of the union of k minus 1 sets, k minus 1 is less than k, and we've used strong induction to assume our result is true for all integers less than k. Hence, our result is true for this supremum. The supremum of this union is the maximum of the supremums of all the individual sets in that union. But then we're taking the maximum of these two numbers. One number is the supremum of AK, and the other number is itself the maximum of a set. And so these two maximums are redundant. We could just take these elements out of that maximum operator and subject them to the outer maximum operator, and thus rewrite it like this: the maximum of the supremums of the k individual sets, thus establishing our result holds for unions of k sets. And that completes the induction proof to establish our result for any finite collection of non-empty above-bounded sets. The supremum of the union of such a collection can be found by just finding the maximum of the individual supremums. That just leaves one stone unturned. What about the infinite case? We just proved our result for finite collections, but what about infinite collections? Does it work the same? Does it work at all? The answer is it does not work. It's not necessarily the case that a union like this of an infinite number of non-empty above-bounded sets is going to have a supremum, even if all those individual sets do. Here's a very simple non-example. We're thinking about the set that contains 1, the set that contains 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. That's an infinite number of sets, all containing a single element, thus they're non-empty and bounded above. But their union is clearly not bounded above, and so it certainly does not have a supremum. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to check out my real analysis course and real analysis exercises playlists in the description for more.